Good afternoon or good evening, innit? Yeah. Well, it's 5 o'clock for you. It's 6 o'clock for me. Bit later in Spain, innit? So tonight we got another one of our little in this together meetings. Compliments of the lottery fund community project, uh, community fund. Sorry. So they've given us some dough and we're spending it, but wisely, of course. We're doing a lot of these little chats now about different things. This week we talk about retirement. So if you're coming up to it, if you're already in it, if you're retired and you're not liking it or you're loving it, or if you're young and you're thinking about is it worth getting a pension and putting money into it and all that. That would be, we're talking about all that stuff. And with me tonight, of course, I got usual Pete Hannon,
Hello,
who
mate. So
you're actually retired already at your peak, but not actually retired.
I retired for a day, mate. I'm going to that later.
All right. We've got Clive Murphy, who I think is retiring on the 31st, didn't you?
That's correct. Even though I've been off work for the last 12 months due to surgery, health issues, etc., etc., my actual working day would have been Friday of last week, where I went into the school, I walked around the school, met the children, as I'm a caretaker, met the children, they had an assembly for me and brought me a couple of gifts. But officially, my last day, you're quite right there, Steve, is the 31st of December. And then at 59, I'll be 60 in January, middle of January. Yeah, I took the option. One, it was based on one, I was coming to what I always wanted to do, is retire early, but unfortunately, I've almost been as much pushed into it at the moment
Mm.
because of surgery.
Yeah, so not exactly the way you wanted to do it, but anyway, like if you can retire at 60, it's nice if that's what you want to do. And
Uh-huh.
Pete, you sort of
Yeah,
got ducks and dives a bit, didn't you?
a very different journey actually, and it was all thanks to COVID. Uh, what happened was obviously I worked in the health service, and when it broke out, a lot of people obviously worried about the finances and this, that, and the other. So there was a lot of people just taking retirement. And so the health service decided, oh, well, hang on, we can't lose this many staff. So they offered an incentive because the whole reason people were retiring was to get hold of their pension pot. You see, people who'd reached 60 who would normally work until they were 67 or 70 or however long they could do were were leaving the service. So they offered this incentive. Oh, well, you can retire, but you can come back the next day if you want. As long as you have a day's break, you can access your pension. Um, that's what I did. I was really struggling financially. All of a sudden, I've paid in for 40 years worth of working in the health service. Got my pension pot, was able to pay off the house, so the kids you've got the security of a house now, and with the little bit that was remaining, I was able to get season tickets for the Blues once the COVID was over for me and the lad. I can shop at Asda now instead of Aldi. Uh, get Heinz ketchup instead of Aldi ketchup, and I'm living the life, mate.
I like a bit of Aldi, I do.
Yeah.
Not a bloody ketchup, you wouldn't.
We got Aldi, yeah. I don't mind it. Yeah, so you were sort of. It's actually quite a good. It's actually brilliant, that isn't it? To be honest.
Well, it worked wonders for me because I mean, this that money that was sat there, it was earning the health service interest
Mm.
whilst it's all sitting in the bank. I mean, you times my story by, God knows how many thousands. You think of the interest that they're earning on people who are not getting hold of their pensions there. So I thought, well, it may as well, that money, may as well be doing me some good rather than me living flipping hand to mouth.
So did you have to like withdraw it all?
I did, yeah, but that obviously that was sort of like 4 years ago now. So I've the day I joined back, I started paying in again.
Oh right, yeah.
Right, my story. My dad was always me. Obviously, most dads out there are your mentors. Um, um, and I started my. I always worked for local authorities, whether it be Birmingham City Council, whether it be Leicester Royal Infirmary, Leicester Health Authority. They both had the same pension schemes, superannuation schemes, and I started paying into my pension. You couldn't pay the first year, so I started paying, I think when I was 17, into Birmingham City Council. And then as time went on, yeah, I was allowed to work in Leicester and the pension fired me. Then I came back to Birmingham and went back to the Birmingham City Council to the degree where after Steve Page, I put VCs in voluntary contributions. So I kind of upped my pension a little bit. So at the end of the day, I paid into my pension for, I think, 42 years. And that was all involved with Birmingham City Council. I was advised strongly to take the pension from the NHS and bring it into Birmingham City Council. So the knock-on effect was about 42, 43 years of pension. And unfortunately, my mum passed away 2 years ago, and she had a big property, and we shared that property between the three of us, me, John, and Michael. Michael, you met Sunday. So I went, now I'm looking for a little fast. So, yeah, it's helped me. Financially, I'm not in a particularly bad place. I'm not as good as
Like you're sitting there drinking half a pint of Baileys, Jesus. I've just had a bottle of bloody San Miguel. Yeah, financially, I'm not in that good a place. Glug, 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 with these Baileys.
But it sounds like, Clive, I mean, I can only speak from the NHS there. Like, it's not the best paid job.
No.
Not for us minions who are down the basement anyway. But there are benefits to it, and you do find a lot of people that they become institutionalised once they get into the NHS. That there are an awful lot of people who do long service in there. Not so much with the young kids these days in our laboratories. They're sort of like, the way my job's gone now, I've always said it's easier to train somebody up than dumb somebody down. With the thing that I do, the microbiology there, it's becoming more and more machine orientated rather than interpretive thing. And you get all they're sold a dream to go and get flipping degrees and get themselves in a mountain worth of debt. To do what? To come in and do a job that there's a bloke, which is me, who pissed about at school, ended up as a gardener in a lunatic asylum. But because of the way the health service works, when they decided to shut all the mental health hospitals, they said that they can find us another job within the health service because they didn't want to be deemed as sacking people. So obviously I couldn't get a job as a brain surgeon, but there was one going in a laboratory, which was sort of like easy enough to do. So there's me with no O levels. Well, no, that's a lie. I'd got sort of like 4 O levels, but that was just the bare minimum. That was. Um, there's me going for a job interview, having sat on a tractor for 15 years next to a kid who's got himself in a mountain the debt, getting himself a flipping biomedical science degree, and I got the job. Yeah, yeah. Quite funny though. Me actually thanking COVID for something. Um, there we
It's
were.
funny that, I think anything that's like, like with the council, with NHS, with the police, with the fire service, all of these, big institutions always sort of offer their own pensions as well, don't they? And it really is a big plus, isn't it? I know you probably don't think about it when you join them as a kid, but at the other end of it, you're really grateful. Like my story is, I've been self-employed for years and years of my life, and I've had bits and pieces of work where I played into the pension schemes and that. But you know what? When you're self-employed, you don't think. Number one, like you got to be careful with money, very careful, haven't you? Because you're not guaranteed anything every week. And number two, you sort of think, well, I ain't got to worry about my self-employed stamp too much this month or next month or for another few years or for another 10 years. And the next thing you know, you haven't got like the greatest of pensions. I mean, my pension's all right. It's okay. But I still work. But I have to say, honestly, I don't work because I have to work. I work because I enjoy my work still. And and I think that's like I think when you come to the end of your, not useful life, but when you come to the end of your work life, and it's sort of pension. I don't know, are they in a position where they can tell you that you got to retire?
You could I don't know how that is with the council, but you can go and ask them if they will re-employ you on whatever, say it's 3 days a week, or how useful you are to them. There is scope to carry on working, which I mean, like I'd had flipping three jobs. Like finished school when I was 15 in the June, turned 16 in the August, and started work as soon as I turned 16. And I've always worked. My worry now is that this time next year I'll be getting my what's it called, the state pension.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's this big thing coming on the horizon now. What do I do? It's quite funny, like when you're 16 and 20 and that, all you can think about is, you wait till I retire, I'm going to do, if I live that long, I'll do X, Y, and Z, and I'll go here, there, and everywhere. I've been lucky. I've got to everywhere that I wanted to go before the kids came along. I've been to America, been to Australia, been to South Africa.
Been to Wigan.
Lived a great single man life, but then the kids come along and it completely changes everything. That I can't justify spending money on myself that could go on the kids. I work for my kids. That's why I do it now. But when you've been around people and worked since you're 16, you're talking over 50 years now, the thought of stopping is a bit worrying for me.
Yeah, it's which is why I asked that question about having to, because I mean, for me, I've been lucky enough, I've done a lot of. I don't think I've ever done a job that I haven't wanted to do in all the time I've worked. So I'm quite lucky that I enjoy my work, and a lot of people I know don't. And what you said, Pete, there about, I know like you brought your kids up from like when your son was 3 and when your daughter was, what, 6 or something.
5, yeah.
5, yeah. Oh, and I was in a similar situation. I brought my son up from when he was 2 on my own, and it costs you a lot of money. I mean, I had pubs at the time. I was quite lucky because I'd got people that would cover me. So I spent a lot of the time in midweek at night when I should be working when I didn't work. But I worked every day and I worked at the weekends. But it's if you do, I don't know. It's like you just said, Peter, about becoming institutionalized. Do you think work does institutionalize you? Because it's a bit like when people come out of the army. It's the same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
pretty much so. I mean, as a parent, that you know, I obviously had to drop Ben off at nursery. Lauren had started school. The NHS again, they were really, really great with me, and they've got all policies like single parent, work life balance policies, and everything. Very, very lucky that they accommodated how I was as a single parent. But that whole thing of dropping your kid off at a nursery and he's crying, and you have to turn around and walk away, walk
Yeah.
away while they're crying. It used to pull me apart. I'd get into work and all I could think about was you keep crying.
Mm.
Yeah. So I mean, I've done it myself. I used to. It's a long story, like, but my son Ben, he used to go to school in Quinton, and at the time I lived in Kings Heath. And so when his mum went to Spain, she lived in Quinton, so his school was in Quinton. So every morning I had to get him to school for 9. I had to pick him up every day at 3:30. And in between 9 and 3:30, I'd go and open the pub, work in the pub. Pub shut at 3 in those days. 2:30, straight over to Quinton, pick him up, bring him home. You know what it's like then, Pete. You got to get the food, you got to get the school stuff ready for the next day. It's like another job, isn't it? And it does worry you. And I remember when his mum would come back from Spain for a weekend out, he didn't see her hardly at all. And it would be sort of I'd put him in the car and he'd be pressed against the back window crying, like, not wanting to go. And it's like them sort of moments are bloody heart wrenching, it now. It's really,
Yeah.
really hard. And Clive's lucky because have you got any children, Clive?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I've got a lad who I've been as close to. He's my best mate. We talk every day. Me and his mum was the best friends. She was a nurse. I was a hospital porter. He grew up. He's 37 now. He's Matthew. I've got a grandson called Derek. And I've got another one away, and we're as close as we've ever been. Like real good mates. I've always been good with his mum, and we chose when we had Matthew one day. I had him one. I said, I sometimes I had him at night. I gave up work. But it was cheaper for me to give up work on maternity leave than it was her because she was on more money than me. She was like, I brought him up, but with her, and we've always been great mates and friends, and everything works well with that. So yeah, and going from like what I do, a bit of Peter, I think, if I can. I love country music, the old type country music. I thought, well, while I'm working, make sure I get to Nashville, Tennessee. If you like Shakespeare, you'll go to Stafford. If you like Birmingham City, you'll go to Smiley. If you like country music, you'll go to Nashville, Tennessee. And I managed to do Nashville, Tennessee 11 times in 13 years. And I
Oh
was
dear.
on my own all the time, went to Australia. I always thought, do this while you're working hard, while you're earning money. You can book your holidays, you're getting your money back, you're not dipping into any savings. 'Cause you know when you come back, you got to carry on working. But
Mm.
with the intent to now retire, it's been non-stop since well, the last one.
How do you feel about it, Clive? Are you sort of fearful of it?
Yeah, yeah. I thought a little bit because you hear negative stories, but not so fearful when you hear positive stories. Now, what I've been doing, this is only paper, I've been organising myself. I, I'm looking for property and I'll put it in offers and bids for 3 flats, two in All Green, one in Sheldon and I hope I get the Sheldon one. It's by Sheldon Country Park, opposite Sheldon Country Park. I don't know whether you know where that is, Steve, but I don't know whether you know where that is, Pete. Sheldon Country Park, up by the Wheat Sheath and the Wadleys.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, the rad. Yeah, 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 yeah.
We're not far from there. And what I've been doing, Stephen Pete, is I've got the names and addresses and phone numbers and all my paperwork set up to be involved in a meet and greet with elderly people in areas. So I can use my time. Say I'm having a great weekend, finish the weekend, Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon. You know you're going to see 2 old age pensioners on Tuesday. Be a little bit of Brian Street, be a little bit of company for them. You get sorted out, like what I mean. You get looked into, like records to make sure you're the right person
Yeah,
to
cool.
be.
Yeah.
And you can do them shopping. You can take them for little trips. Then I've been trying to get, which I've got numbers for walking clubs and things like that. So who knows? I'm not ruling out voluntary work. I'm not ruling out going back to work for 2 days a week. So
Yes, good.
I'm excited. The answer to your question, I'm excited with what's going to happen.
Yeah. So, Peter, have you got any plans like the way Clive just said about what he's going to do? You saw in a way for you, it would have been better if you could have had your kids now, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Not to say that you won't have any more.
The silly. You're sure you'll always be a dad factory, won't you?
Yeah.
And got the bloody lunatic dog there anyway. But you should. What was he saying now? I forgot. Pippin got interrupted by the
Yeah, so
mad
have you got
dog.
anything like, any thoughts about what you're going to do when you're not working?
No, I really haven't. What worries me is that when I do get annual leave off now, I'm full of ideas what I'm going to be doing, but I sort of I fall into I'll do it tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow, and that's only with sort of like a block of a week off. What's it going to be like when, will I be one of these people who will just sit there and say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow." That's a concern for me. Like you say, I've done all my travelling. I don't want for anything apart from the the very best for my kids and to help my kids with ever what they want to do.
Well, I do think since I've sort of I'm never retired, so like I've carried on working. But Peter, over the last 2 years, and anyone else that's watching this will know, we started the project as a CIC, and so the project itself grew from nothing, over 2 years to becoming really where I was spending like 3 hours a day. So at the moment, I start work at like 6 a.m. and I get home. I very rarely get home later than 1 at lunchtime, but usually it's earlier than that. Then if you do 2 or 3 hours on the project, which I used to do regularly, it is a busy, busy group. And then now we've got the CIC. So now I sort of look at it from the other respects, thinking, hang on a minute, I was sort of finishing work at 11, from 6 till 11, and then you got all day, but then it starts to back up and it starts to become work again. And then I don't think I could manage without it. It's like, because I live on my own. It's like this week, they said to me, "Do you want to work Boxing Day? Because the only day we have to close is Christmas Day." And I was like, you know what? Yeah, because I don't work Saturday and Sunday. So I'd have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have 4 days off. It's too much for me. It's
Yeah.
weird, isn't it? And we're all in different situations,
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying there, Steve. Yeah,
Mhm.
you
What I
know,
find, what I think, because in part of my job some years ago, I was a sheltered housing warden where I looked after, for Birmingham City Council, I looked after 32 people who lived independently in one block. I used to do bingo, quizzes, we used to get a fish and chip shop. What I'm weary of, where hopefully I can put my time, because I still think, obviously, I'm looking at myself as, a 60, I'm relatively young, because I still think society, certainly in our country, neglects older people. I don't think we've got it quite right in this country. The way with technology, with different things for elderly people, where whether they're buying mobile phones with big buttons, they're buying iPads with bigger screens. And my one of the things I want to get involved in is where I can go to a community and be in a community where I can help elderly people, like not too dissimilar what Steve, what you do, and the project does.
Yeah, well,
Certainly,
like
Christmas
the
time
stuff
for
like we're
meals,
doing now, like with
huh?
the stuff we're doing now, sort of with Pete, Pete's done quite a lot of stuff
Yeah,
with me. But like the stuff we're doing now, although people want to know about retirement, what's it like, or someone might be feeling, I've retired, I feel crap, like, what do I do? Can I
hmm
go back to work? All that sort of stuff.
hmm
You can obviously now do it, not physically, you can do it like we're doing it on a screen.
yeah,
And I know what you're saying there about, like, there's like a cliff edge with social media, and I imagine it's probably like there's probably a cliff edge when people used to ride horses and suddenly got cars or horse and carts. It's like, oh, look at them now, I'm in car, I ain't getting the car, I'm staying on my horse, like,
yeah,
that sort of thing in it, because it is a challenge for older people. But I think it's not too big a chasm for people like us. And I'm no whiz kid on on Peter's, on the old electronic stuff for IT and that. But we know enough to be able to say to someone who wants to access their electricity bill on the MEB site or something, to tell them how to get to it, or if they
mm,
can't do it, to do it for them. That's the sort of thing that that's helpful to older people. But there is always going to be, when there's a big change in something like that, like suddenly IT raises its head, the internet and all that stuff. Bloody hell, I didn't know nothing about it. I knew nothing. And
well,
somebody said to me, Windows, and I bleeding hell they were on about.
in years to come, it won't be a problem for older people because
Well, of course
it'll be a
not. Look at it.
natural kind of a progress they make into getting to with modern technology. They'll get there. It's just it's just that I just still think we neglect our older people in this country on so many things after what we fought for in wars and different things like that. I forgot I was trying to post I was trying to get to, and sorry.
It's all right. But I mean, obviously, the thing we're talking about is what we do when we retire. So, when you actually stopping, Pete?
well, this is it. I've got a decision to make this time next year, really, when I get my state pension, about renegotiate. I mean, without being big-headed, they'd be willing to keep me on, but then you've also got that other thing of, perhaps I might drop one day rather than work 5 days, or
Yeah.
drop it down to four, or something like that. But I think I would want to keep on working. I know it's but a lot of people won't understand that. But I'll put it. You've heard that that saying about the apple don't fall far from the tree. Well, I'll tell you the story about my old man. So he done his army stuff, been in the parachute regiment, done work, done Palestine, went and worked at the GPO, worked there. He couldn't wait to retire. He retired at 60. Now, he wasn't a very sociable bloke. His idea of a good day was going to work, coming home, having our mum look after him, which is the way that, that was the generational thing. Mm-hmm. Sit down in front of the telly and watch the telly. Now, when he retired at 60, he wanted to buy a flipping, like one of them caravan net things and go travelling around. Our mum, bless her, because, how do you say, me and my brother, my brother was in a bit of problem, shall we say, having a bit of trouble. She didn't want to leave her sons to go travelling around with Dad. It's daft because sort of like there we are, blokes in our flipping 30s, and my brother was sort of like 3 years older than me. But Mum still wanted to be on hand in case we were getting into trouble, or to sort out the trouble that we'd get into. So that got knocked on the head. So my dad then was just one of them people who would sit in the chair.
It's funny.
As it was, our mum started to suffer from dementia, so my dad became her carer. He then got dementia as well, so that they both ended up with dementia. They hadn't wrote a will. That's one thing I made sure I did, because the hoops and everything that you have to go over when somebody hasn't got the capacity to write, to write a will, it was just absolutely ridiculous. So then you're offered. I mean, sorry to say this, Clive, you'd probably know a bit more about this than me, but some of the council care homes were absolutely disgusting. They really were, where they were going to try and put mum and dad in. So I sort of like had to go through the court to get hold of this power of attorney, basically to be able to spend their money to put them in a home together. And that's where, their money whittled down anyway. But it was just that whole thing about, am I going to turn into my dad here? Am I going to be that person who will get up, get his phone, watch his Sky Sports, and that's his that's my worry.
The thing is, though,
you're saying that my mum wrote a will, and even if you got a will wrote, you still have to jump through hoops. Even though you wrote a will, Mum wrote a proper will with a proper solicitor uptown, and it's Mum's house still has to go through probate. We still have to go through probate for over 12 months to settle that house and the bills, and everything was documented.
Yeah, but you can imagine how much worse it is if you hadn't done it.
Exactly. I mean, the whole idea about what we're trying, putting up in the news today, the government, like them all over them, attacking some councils, because some councils, I agree with this, some councils are trying to go to working 4 days a week rather than doing 5 days. Well, I think in 2025, people should be allowed to work 4 days a week rather than 5. we should be looking at more leisure time, because if it's only a short life, you go through it once. Sometimes you don't know what age you're going to be cut off. You could be cut off at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. And,
But there's a couple of
try,
things to look at there, and one of those is, I mean, it might be you think like the government have been so kind by cutting the working week down. The thing is,
yeah,
another 10 years, there's not going to be much work for people to be doing because it's
yeah,
all going to be done by
automated, yeah.
attention. So really, you're going to end up with a workforce that really is going to be unemployed more or less. So the government has to look after them. But Pete, what you're saying there about, it's funny how you look at that when you said like your dad used to sit there and watch TV and that, because for some people it would be their dream. Now
Yeah.
my dad, when he retired, he had fortunate for him, he had throat cancer, and he lost. He was really ill with it, and he lost the ability to talk. So he had one of them. He used to frighten my kids. He used to think he was a Dalek. He go, ah, why is Granddad talking like that, like a robot? It's all right, like. So he used to laugh. He used to laugh about it, like. But he, and he was an invalid. And my dad used to be a bouncer. He was a good boxer. He used to work for funerals at Rebecca's on the door and all that. And suddenly he's reduced to this. But then he used to just sit at home and watch westerns all the time on TV. And I introduced him to the internet when he was 72. And I got him a laptop, and he used to spend all his money gambling on his laptop. But so there's that. Some people are forced into that kind of life. But then again, Pete, some people would love to sit at home and watch telly all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's just that it's up. It's what's in you, in it. It's sort of.
But
And nobody knows, I don't think, until it happens to you. I mean, we get people coming to the gym, and in Spain, there's a lot of retired people, and someone will come in sometimes. They go, "Oh, what day is it?" It does my head in, that does. What day is it? And I'm thinking, oh, thank fuck it's Friday today. All right, well, so looking forward to the weekend. Oh, what day is it? I think it's Friday.
I suppose it depends. You have to think to yourself.
Let me have a look at that glass. I want to see how much fucking what's it's left in there. Oh, he ain't drunk too much, Pete. It's not what we thought.
You got to think how long you work from school, college, work. You got to think how much you contribute to society, because life's not all about working. Unfortunately, people do need to work. I'm not anti anybody wanting to work to 70, 75, 80, and all that. It's just it's a shame there's not. This is past the right point. It's a shame there's not facilities there to accommodate people who retire, because why do you still want to contribute to society at 82? When you've worked all your life, and things should be available for older people. And
You think you've got it hard, right? I watched last night on TV a program about Neanderthals. Right, from the minute they're born until the minute they die, they wake up every morning after walking mammoths every day, drag it home, cook it, get up the next morning and hunt another one. From the minute they're born to the minute they die, don't give me about all this bullshit about we've got it easy, man. Ask a Neanderthal how he got on.
Oh no, I accept that, but you have some of the people who retired at 50 and have been sailing around the world for the last several years and going to different islands and different bars and just spending all their retirement money on the backs of people who work for it in factories that sold the factory, and I think, fuck it, well done for all their minions who are working, clocking in for £8.46 an hour. And if I was 3 minutes late,
Clive with your
do
socialist
15
hats on
minutes.
now, you with your socialist hats on now. But just to get back, just to sort of get back to the point a little bit,
Yeah.
is I don't know, like, have you two gone in and looked at your gateway and that?
Yeah.
have you looked at your gateway? You know, on the pension, on national pensions.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
You know what you've got, you know how to access it. Because if people don't know what to do, you know, there'll be people probably might be watching this and thinking, all right, and so, you know, I'm coming up to it, but I don't know. How do I get it? When does it just arrive or something? You have to go onto your gateway, don't you?
you're right there, Steve. What it is, you know, I can't obviously, being 59, I'll be 60 in January. I've got no, I'll go wait till I think I'm 67 or 68 for my state pension. And because I'm putting up, I was going to go today up to Wolverhampton, where the West Midlands Pension Fund system is, and go and meet them in person. But there is ways you can do it, which I'm not going to do. There's ways to do it online without leaving your house, and you can get it all done. Well, I don't want to do it like that. I
Yeah,
want to
because there
see
is
person to person.
there are going to be people as well that are thinking, well, you know, like I never paid anything in for like 20 years.
Uh-huh.
That mean I'm only going to get like, you know, a percentage of my pension. That is what it means. But you can, if you go into your gateway early enough and have a look at it, you can come to arrangement with the pensions people to pay, you know, additional money in so that you improve your pension when you leave. And
Yeah, yeah.
you know, yeah, but I think a lot of people are like unaware of it, and it's
there's,
all right when we know about it, but I think there's loads of people that just don't really understand anything about it at all.
I think, sorry, Pete, if you need to, I think it's got to be trained from a young, because my dad, I asked my dad 20 years ago, he always said to me, make sure that you put in your money for a pension. Make sure, well, at 16, 17 and 18, who's interested in a pension if you can go down a booze and then in the George pub next door every week? Who really bothers about a pension at 17, 18, 19? Now I did because my dad got it into my head. He said, did I have to start it earlier? I didn't. And what I done is pay my pension when I was first in the council. And every job I had after, with an increase of pay, I put an extra VC, voluntary contribution. So if I earned an extra 20 quid in my next job, I put £5 a week into my pension.
That's a really good idea, that is, you know, but unfortunately, so I see what we're going to be looking at here, really. We ain't going to have many 14-year-olds watching us, fucking
No,
hopefully,
no,
talking about
but
nothing. But when you're looking at people now who are probably might even be 40s or 50s and
yeah,
think,
yeah.
wait a minute, like, you know, I ain't got enough money in my state pension. You know, I mean, if you're lucky enough to have an external, you know, a private pension as well, then it's brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
People
See,
that struggle.
Pete, see, I'm not trying to be a big time Charlie here, but
No, I don't
I've
think
got to
you are
admit,
for a minute.
it's just something that was, my daddy was a very much a disciplinarian, a good father, a bloody good father. I miss him, Jaya. And I just done that. And now I think Peter mentioned this early on. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Peter. I'm sure you'll tell me I'm wrong. I'm sure Peter said this. I'm putting, or something, guys, I'm putting everything in order now that will benefit my son rather
yeah,
than what I have to do, you know, to go through this pension scheme. I'm up to Wolverhampton, I'm doing this, I've got to sign this for. I'm trying to make it easier for
I've
my
always,
son
always
back there.
found the national pension people really good. I have, but
Yeah,
I do it's a different, slightly different body when you're abroad, but they are really, really good. I mean, they really are. Because I always thought it would be real shit like living in the country trying to get your British pension, but it really isn't. It's really good, and
yeah, but
they're good at
it's
it.
funny you just touched on that, Clive, because I was going to bring something up. Really, is about the other fact of being old, and that
to
is
take
that
an interest, Peter, I can hear you, but I can't take you into a side because we're being told. I'm going for a wee, but I can hear you.
yeah. Well, as long as I can't hear you in the toilet, mate. Um, should we stop and listen to his tinkling?
Give it a miss, eh?
But now it's that whole thing about when you reach a certain age and that, and you know that it's that worry about being a problem for your kids. You know what I'm saying? Do
Yeah.
you get?
Yeah.
You know what though,
It,
Pete? We all have our own little worries, but you know what my worry is? 'Cause I live
what's
on
that?
my own, don't I, in another country. My worry is about how I'm going to be found when I'm dead, what I'm going to
Oh,
be wearing, and
fucking
like,
hell.
because I don't want to be found dead on the toilet or something. You know, like I
But
now go to work for 3 days, and well, where's Steve? Like we're going to have a look, and I'm like sitting on the bug.
yeah,
You know, so we
or,
all have our little worries, but you know,
yeah, or wearing them string onesies and that. God, imagine that, Jesus.
I hope
Um,
not.
but no, you know what I mean. He's a worry that you know, but you know, we're all different, aren't we? But
But your kids are a different age to mine. My kids are a bit older than yours, so he's different, you know. And Clive's son is older than yours. I mean, you must have had your kids a little bit later.
I did, mate. So flipping I didn't have until I was like 40.
Yeah, it's quite a good age in a way, in one way, because like hopefully you're not really struggling financially at that age, and you got a little bit more sort of life knowledge. You know, like you're a bit more worldly, because when kids are like 16 and 17 and have a child, you know what I mean? It's like they're children themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, look, I mean, it worked out perfectly for me, really. That I'd done all my playing up. I'd done most of the things I wanted to do, and then all of a sudden, I'm blessed. You know, I never thought it had happened, but I had, you know, sometimes these things happen, and I became a dad. And, you know, the best thing that's ever or could have happened to me.
Yeah,
It completely changed me.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
Um,
that's true. You know, I mean, you have no choice, do you, really? You didn't.
it was going on. I probably wouldn't be here flipping talking to you now if I'd have carried on living the way I was.
Mhm.
But you know, my whole life is devoted to making sure my kids are okay. And the last thing I'd ever want is for them to have to be worrying about fucking state of me.
Mm. But it's a natural thing, you know. I mean, I worry sometimes. My memory gets quite bad at times, you know, and I think, just try and remember something I can't remember. I think, oh no, I hope I'm not getting bloody dementia or Alzheimer's or something, because that must be
Mhm.
the worst thing in the world, mustn't it?
Well, there's nothing to say that it is hereditary.
And my mum died of it,
Yeah,
vascular
My
dementia.
mum did, my mum did as well.
you know,
But
and they'd
it's,
like to used to call it old timers disease, didn't it? Yeah, but the fact that my mum and my dad got it doesn't, you know, you can't help but think, oh bloody hell,
yeah.
that's my roadmap sorted then. But you know, it's like I say, you keeping your mind active helps and everything. Worrying about flipping blues, filling your mind full. I've never read so much that you know in the last sort of like
It's funny
five.
you mentioned something, Pete, earlier today that oh that's nice, isn't it? Is that
It's
you?
my son and my grandson in Sweden.
That's lovely, that is, mate.
Yeah.
Lovely photo. But you said something interesting today, Pete, on the group. What was you just saying then, Pete? See
Um,
what?
I just basically about I was on about reading.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you were saying today that uh, about reading all the posts on different groups, even though you know it's going to do your head in. You can't
yeah,
stop reading it, can you? It's a bit addictive, isn't it? Social
it,
media like that.
it, you know, and I was the late to social media and everything. I was the last, probably the last person ever to get a mobile phone. I only got one when obviously the good lady was pregnant, and I needed to have a contact. So that's how flipping late I was on the scene with phones and technology. But bloody hell, I never joined Facebook till 2011. But when I did, oh my God, it, it is addictive, isn't it? It
Uh,
really is.
It's almost like I don't know, like, I think if you took Facebook off some people, it would be like the end of the life, really. So in a lot of ways, although it can be pretty damaging, social media, I think it also builds up a network of, well, for instance, me, like I've got the group, haven't I, in the UK with 24,000 people in it, and we do podcasts and we do all this and that. But without that, I'd be just sitting there on my own. I don't have a
mhm.
big social circle. But I'm not like someone that hangs around with a lot of expats and that. I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
And here you do get gangs of expats, like old blokes all going to the same pub every day at the same time, But
But,
you know,
but the thing is, like Steve, it's like for the likes of us, I find people say, well, if you don't like what I'm writing, scroll past. Now that's easier said than done. But if we can't do it, you're sure as hell a flipping player who's been slagged off
yeah, of course
ain't.
Mhm.
they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Listen, I mean, Pete, with our group, we speak, don't we, to a lot of players' families and, club officials' families and that, and they tell us, and I believe them, and I know it's true that it gets to them. Of course, it does. They're not going to, I don't think, for instance, they're going to sit there reading Facebook every night. But if you don't think that Chris Davis doesn't know that everyone's telling everyone that he should be sacked at the moment, you're wrong. If you don't think that Beadle doesn't know that everyone slags him, you're wrong. Because they find out these things. Of course they do. They live in the same world as us. And when these people type it, now someone come on to the group about 15 minutes ago. No, before we come on, 15 minutes. Chris Davis sacked. Right. And this guy has gone to nearly every social media group and put the same three or four words on. That then starts a massive. It's on Twitter, then it's here, then it's there. Next thing all the clickbaiters have got it. Davis sacked. Do you know what I mean? And it's just
Yeah.
fucking what sort of world do we live in, man? It's fucking crazy, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at your glass, son. Oh no, it'll be bedtime for him soon. Listen, we've had an hour of chatting about this, right? And two reasons we've got to call this a day for tonight is that number one, I haven't had nothing to eat yet, and it's 7 o'clock time. And number two, when we tend to go on a little bit on these, we don't get many views. When we was on Sunday, we've had like 300 views on Sundays, Sundays one day. Yeah, I think that's probably
Yeah.
because, yeah, but I think a lot of it was down to being football as well. So when we do Sundays now, we're always going to talk about the games anyway. But it's the biggest one we've had so far in terms of. But obviously it's
Yeah.
there all the time, so it's going to go up all the time. That viewing, and
Yeah.
we've got 460 odd followers now on YouTube, so that's pretty good.
But Steve, you know as well as I do. If we would have won, we'd have had about 10 visitors. People just want to see the drama.
People love wallowing in the shit, don't they? It's like. Uh, and I honestly believe this. I honestly believe that was when some players, like if someone has a shot at Beadle, for instance, I honestly believe there's some fans that want him to let that ball in the net and make a mistake
Mhm.
because it's more important for them to be able to get on Facebook and told you about Beadle shit, than it is
Mhm.
for Blues not conceding a goal. I honestly believe that I do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like all the stuff with Kyogo at the minute in it,
Yeah. And
Apparently, when he scores, he's going to score a fucking hatful, but
Mhm.
not scoring
well, yeah, there's something I'm going to say, but best not. Anyway, been lovely to speak to you all.
Yeah.
I'd
And
love to
we,
know what it is. You can message me in a minute, Pete, and tell me. Uh,
yeah,
Pete, thanks for rushing home and coming on. Clive, thanks for joining us, mate, and giving us your little bit. And I hope you sober up nicely for tomorrow if you're going to go to Wolverhampton again or anything.
I'm leaving Wolverhampton till next week now. Sorry.
Yeah, you'll
I'm,
be in bed all day tomorrow if you drink that bottle of Baileys.
no, I won't do. I'm going to go. Funny enough, I'm still living in a school. I've got a lovely school ground all lit up at the moment with lights and Christmas lights. So I'm just going to have a walk around the school while it's lit up, and then come back in, play some country music, and then I look forward to seeing people on Christmas Day, 9 o'clock.
Christmas Day, hopefully, yeah. You'll be able to make it, Pete, for half an hour at any point.
I'm going to try my best, but like you say, I'll be driving down to.
Oh,
We're on at 9. No, we're on at 10 your time till 12. Anyway, if you get the chance, mate, lovely to see you. And you, Clive, and we'll see you Christmas Day. But if not, we'll follow this up next week and let's see what sort of response we get before we decide to do that, or we'll have to think about something else.
what time English time for Christmas?
English time is 9.
9 Christmas time, Christmas Day. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
that's
take
10 my
care.
time.
Ta-ra then. Ta-ra.
Yeah. See you, Pete.
See you guys.
Pete.
Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.